your name is?
Simi Karan.
And you're from Orissa.
Yes, sir.
Now, the IAS is your first choice,
Yes.
followed by the police,
Yes.
which is your second choice. And your third choice is the IRS IT.
Yes, sir.
You have been a student of BTech
Yes.
and electrical engineering
Yes.
at the IIT Bombay. You met a number of people who are also your colleagues, also from electrical engineering, also from IIT Bombay.
I made that comment too.
So is there a beeline from the IIT Bombay electrical engineer to join the civil service?
So I have seen many kinds of students there. Some are going for higher studies, some have joined jobs somewhere, but there are quite a few of my seniors who are here.
Good. Is that something good or not so good? But anyway, that we'll see as we go along. But the question naturally therefore arises that when you're a graduate of the IIT, and I noticed that this is your
First attempt.
which attempt is this?
First
Your
attempt.
first attempt.
I graduated in 2019.
This is your first attempt. So,
She was born in 97, very young. That's 23,
so
22.
22. 11.
therefore, that question follows that if you're an IIT graduate with a very high score, you scored 9.7 to a grade of 9.72,
Yes.
then the maximum is 10.
Yes.
So, what do you think, why do you think that you should want to join a service like the IAS? Why do you want to join the government in the first place when there can be much more lucrative employment in the private sector, possibly more creative from the point of view of your educational skills? What do you think that you will get out of joining the civil services, and why in those civil services would you like to opt for a service like the IAS? And also there's another question, that with your background in electrical engineering, why is the income tax service or the Indian Revenue Service income tax among your preferred choices? So I'm giving you a number of questions all rolled into one.
So I chose the civil services firstly because of the diversity I see in the work here. I will not just be confined to the engineering sector, but I can work in multiple fields like teaching, for example, it's my hobby. So education sector, health sector, and several other departments which come under a civil servant. So I believe that I am not doing any disservice by not joining the electrical engineering, because I will be able to use that knowledge which I have gained there in a much more fruitful manner, and I believe I can be a better technocrat.
How?
And so for example, we have been working recently on IoT devices. Traffic management is a major issue in Bombay, where I live, and the traffic signal right in front of the gate is a mess. There are several directions and there is utter chaos, especially during turning times. So there we can use IoT devices along with smart traffic signals, which could be a very innovative solution which can not just be applied in Bombay but in other metro cities. So this could be one example where I can use the knowledge that I have gained. Secondly, there are several schemes, for example, Digital India, Make in India, the push for electronics manufacturing, etc., where I think having that domain knowledge, I'll be in a better position to understand and evaluate the policies. And so, I'm sorry, what was the last question?
Then second, the other question was regarding joining the IAS particularly.
Okay.
And why do you want to join the IAS? And then why should your third choice, with your background in electrical engineering, be the IRS? What can you contribute to the IRS? Because in the IRS, you're not going to be looking at traffic lights at all.
Yes, sir. So IS is my first choice because especially for the diversity of work, and secondly the direct impact and the contact I can have with the last mile and the grassroots. Especially the direct impact is something that is personally very important for me. And sir, having IRS IT as my third choice is because today when we see the tax structure or the kind of challenges we are facing when we are administering basically, we can bring a lot of innovation in terms of technology. So by reducing discretion, reducing the contact with individuals rather than bringing in a portal or an online service for the same.
Electrical engineering.
So actually, electrical engineers and computers today are very integrated with each other. So the kind of topics that we study in electrical and computer are more or less integrated. If they look at the software side, we provide the backbone by the hardware. So if they will be looking at the software, I'll be looking at the hardware
Very
perhaps.
good. But then I'm going to take you back. You were saying that you would like to join the IAS
Yes, sir.
because you would like to have a direct impact on the public.
Yes.
Now, this raises two questions. You have had the IAS there for 70 years, even before that it was the ICS, but
Yes.
it was a similar service. And we all joined the service with this idea that we want to have an impact. Were we all a useless lot, that we were not able to have any impact? That you still require to join the service to have an impact? Or what is it that you see as the challenges today? Because the challenges, obviously your answer can be the challenges in our time were different. I'm giving you the answer to my first question, and therefore we have helped resolve that. Although I don't know if we have, but nevertheless, you may pass us off by doing that. But now the challenges are what? Which, in your perception, what are the challenges now, and how do you feel that joining the IAS will help you resolve that with an impact of the kind that you mentioned?
So I feel that any impact, whether big or small, is substantial. And as you said, there's definitely a long way that we have come. Today, if I see the services and the kind of challenges that this country faces, first of all, I see the major impact of disruptive technologies. For example, the artificial intelligence, big data, IoT, etc. And we see the kind of skills that are manpower or the huge demographic dividend that we say has. This is a huge divide. And that is one sector that I think will be a major challenge moving forward. Secondly, I see the challenge of protectionism and the global environment essentially, which is being very uncertain at this time. And we have to be very flexible and smart in the kind of diplomacy and the way we tackle these challenges, both from internal side and how we challenge these externally. These are two major challenges. And thirdly, the climate change impact, of course. That can be very well seen by the kind of vulnerabilities it has created in the rainfall last year. The place where I come from, Balasar, it was a very rich place in terms of agriculture, but in recent times, because of heavy rainfall dependence and the erratic nature of rainfall, it has been in quite a bit of a turmoil. So these are the major challenges that I see moving forward. And as an individual, belonging to the bureaucracy and to any position that I am assigned, be it at the DC level or to the senior levels, I feel the experience that I will gain at the lower levels will definitely help me make a greater impact while formulating the policy. So I don't see any impact as being big or small. Any impact, even if it changes the life of one person, is substantial. So I think that would definitely be a boost for me if I can even change the life of one person.
Okay, I'll ask you. Okay,
Sorry.
You go ahead.
So I said,
Please go ahead.
it's very interesting. I'm going to ask you a question which many people may not. Now, you come from Odisha,
Yes.
and you very categorically said that I don't want Odisha. No, I don't want to be considered. So much so that in every zone, you've given your first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So far as Odisha is concerned, You said 0. That is, it is not in the zone of consideration at all. Is there any reason for that?
So firstly, if I don't put Odisha as my first choice, it automatically becomes that I'm not eligible for that state. And the reason why they did that was,
Say it again.
if I don't put it as my first choice,
Yes.
I automatically get eliminated from selecting it at all.
Yes.
And the reason why I did that was, I realized that I have been brought up in an Odia family.
Yes.
I know the culture of Odisha. I know the challenges that I might face in Odisha. But I realized that I have very little exposure as far as the other regions are concerned. Living in Bombay, there were other kind of challenges that I faced there. And then I realized that if I can get an opportunity to work in some other place, that would be a more enriching experience, and I will be able to contribute there as well.
And tell me, which would be your choice, first choice?
Madhya Pradesh.
Okay. Why?
I think Madhya Pradesh is a very big state, and the different regions of the state experience different kinds of challenges. So, for example, I had been to Jhabua as a part of a rural visit, and it was mainly a tribal village.
How many days was that visit?
5 days. So the kind of challenges they were facing were very different from the challenges I was seeing in my own village. So I realized that was one region.
What is it? Is it a tribal area?
My village? The Jhabua, yes.
What is the name of the tribes there? The dominant?
The Bhils and the Bhilala tribes. There are two communities.
Okay, proceed.
So I realized that there are lots of things that I have actually not seen in my life, and there are regions that I can contribute to better if I get a greater exposure. So Madhya Pradesh in that sense seems like a solution.
One more
Madhya
question.
Pradesh was my second choice also.
Okay. My brother was from Madhya Pradesh, but he just got it. It wasn't his choice. The second question I want to ask you, that and you yourself mentioned the many challenges that are going through. Which are the 3 major challenges that this country faces?
First challenge that I would say right now is the economic slowdown, and I would say the economic fluctuations also. So the consumer demand has been slowing down. The unemployment rate is at very high levels. So that is the first challenge. Second, I see the environmental challenges. Living in Delhi, that has had its experience of seeing the exposure of air pollution, and of course in different parts of the country there are different reasons for the pollution, and that is a major challenge. And thirdly, I would say political funding is a major challenge, because it, as has been noted by the Association for Democratic Reforms, almost 70% are coming from unknown sources. So that is a major area of.
Why are you so concerned about it? What do you mean by political funding is coming from unknown? Is that because of a flaw in the law, or is that a practice?
Ma'am, I think there are multiple reasons why that has been so. Firstly, for
Are
example,
you talking about electoral bonds where you don't give the source, or what is it? I'm not very clear.
there are multiple reasons. Electoral bonds have been a concern. Firstly, they have been very useful in terms of increasing digital payments, in terms of digital payments to the political parties rather than cash transactions. But the fact that they are not being accounted for in either the income tax, or you cannot get the information directly if you don't go, the center state, the government has the information, but the public does not know about it. But other than that, there is also this challenge of like, for example, capitalists paying the money to the political parties, which is going unaccounted for. And secondly, we have transactions up to 2,000 in cash payments. Even below that, a large number of transactions are being seen that in terms of cash transactions are happening. So that has to be also covered.
So you think that's one of the 3 challenges facing this country?
Yes.
Okay.
Recently, there was a report in the newspapers that the IITs have had the maximum number of patents in the last 3 years, and they have had the maximum number of startups. And you are one of the very bright students. You have 9+ this thing. Why didn't it ever occur to you that you can be a part of that growing India, where the IITs are coming up with new patents and new startups? Why you thought of civil services and not that?
So, I have tried research as an option, exploring the latest coming up technologies, but I realized that because I was missing that direct contact link with the public, I was not getting so much interested in it. Of course, I was very enjoying the kind of new frontiers that we were exploring, but because they were a lot at the theoretical stage perhaps, I was not enjoying it. And for entrepreneurship, I was personally never interested in that sector.
Which two countries you consider as the leading countries of the world?
Leading in terms of,
The most powerful countries.
I would have to say USA and China.
Can you tell me why they are considered the most powerful?
So USA, of course, has the highest GDP today, the largest military power. If we see in terms of soft power, cultural exposure that the countries have, USA is leading in that. China, because it is upcoming in the latest technologies, its GDP is growing at a very good, fast rate, and it is almost in a position to challenge USA. Not so much militarily, but it is able to defend itself. It has developed that capacity, and it has been growing in indigenous technology quite rapidly.
So technology also has been a major thing.
Yes, sir.
Which is the model India should follow? The American or the Chinese?
So I would not say that we have to follow a particular American or the Chinese model. They have come up in different era. For example, the time when USA was evolving, most of the world were colonies. It did not have to face a stiff competition like India might have to face today. And China, of course, politically speaking, has been a very different structure from India. So I believe that India has to charter its own path, but it can definitely learn from both China and USA. China in terms of the way it has grown as a manufacturing hub, and USA for the work it has done, of course, in research and cutting edge technology.
You've scored very well, and you speak very well. Have you ever thought that teaching would be an interesting profession for you?
So I was associated with Abhyashika, which is a student mentor at IIT Bombay. There we actually teach students, but what I realized was I actually enjoy teaching, but it becomes a very individual effort. I am not able to contribute in a collective manner. And when I see myself as an administrator, I realize that I can take several others along with me to contribute in a better manner. That's why I decided to shift towards IAS.
So there has been complaint from many people that people from IIT students, they are very selfish lot. People, students from liberal colleges, liberal arts colleges, they are protesting. But the students from IIT never protested. What could be the reason? And do you think this complaint is justified?
So, when you say that students from IIT are selfish, I think it's wrong to say that way. There might be one or two students who might sound snobbish, but I would not say the entire IIT.
Selfish in that sense, if they are not responding to the need of the society to that extent.
They're not protesting like JNU and
DU students.
DU.
So if we see today, I have seen in recent times there have been solidarity protests in IIT Bombay in latest times. But in general, you said it very correctly that students have not been very forthright in presenting their opinions. But I see that there are several other platforms through which we do so. We have several clubs. We have finance club. We have debating club. We have entrepreneurship club where we do put up our opinions. And I think if every community has a particular platform to present its opinion, so if the liberal colleges have a way of protesting to put up banners and show up in the streets, that is a way of protesting that they have adopted. We have probably adopted for a different way. So for example, in latest times, we have come up with a petition that was filed. Firstly for regarding solidarity, and secondly to look into the issues that have been going on.
Okay.
So that is a different
So
one.
do you think it is right for the students to take part in political activities also outside their campuses?
So I feel that right to protest is an important right, and what is more important is the way it is being expressed. So if the protests are happening in a peaceful manner, in a democratic manner, and they are trying to pursue it in a manner which is not obstructing the normal public life, it is very welcome. But of course, it should not happen in a violent manner.
Acha, you have stayed in, you belong to Odisha, you have stayed in Chhattisgarh,
Yes.
you have studied in Bombay.
Yes, sir.
So, if you compare the people and the society therein, how would you compare the three places?
So, in Chhattisgarh, where I have been brought up, I don't see economically or socially Chhattisgarh being too dominant. They are more located in the villages or the low-paying jobs. But if you see Odisha, they are present in all the regions, in all types of sectors, etc. Mumbaikars are very, very fun-loving people. They have a very beautiful cosmopolitan culture, I would say, that I think I have not seen in Odisha or Chhattisgarh. That is the difference.
One last question. So, you said that electrical engineering is very close to computer sciences.
Yes.
So, one question. So, what do you know about quantum computers? And is it going to change the face of cryptography also?
So, the difference between normal digital computer and the quantum computer is that a digital computer works on bits, that is 0 or 1, and quantum computing works on qubits. Here, even in one state, you can have multiple particles being present, and they can change, they actually impact each other. So, when you are working with bits, they are operating independently at every position. But when you're operating with qubits, each particle will have an impact on other. So it first of all increases the speed and the processing abilities to a very large extent. Recently, Google has achieved quantum supremacy. So those are fields which are very exciting, and I think they're going to have a very big impact on the way we are seeing today. Firstly, in terms of size of the computer, and secondly, in terms of processing speeds.
Will change the cryptography applications that we have, our own encryption. It will break everything, right?
So I definitely feel that they will have a very big impact, because cryptography was based on the idea that a particular function cannot be operated within a limited amount of time, or logically limited amount of time. But with quantum supremacy, that might get broken. So we will have to definitely explore new areas of going into that.
Simi. Okay, I've taken political science and international relations. Just a quick question. Now, because of the protest in India and of several legislations that have been passed, the world view of India has changed a little. Now, if you were to advise the government in terms of a foreign policy right now, or any action that we need to take at the international stage, especially in view of the image that India is portraying right now, what would that advice be?
Ma'am, I would say that India has to move into a high-powered diplomacy zone. So what we have to do is we have to go into countries. So recently EU was trying to pass or was debating upon the CAA. We need to project to the world that this is definitely an internal matter, but secondly that it is not going to impact any other country in any manner. Especially if we see at the India-Bangladesh relations, they have taken a toll. We have to send representatives, we have to bring representatives to India and try to present to them that how India is definitely an emerging power and there is nothing to worry, there is nothing to fear in terms of the loss of diversity or the fears that essentially the other countries are showing, and most importantly to project that this is an internal matter.
Thank you.
Please sit down. Well, you're succeeding in impressing us all. So the only thing that we would suggest is that you tend to be a little loud.
Okay.
It's a good point to assert But then you're always asserting, not always asserting. In certain cases, you may need to assert strongly. So your voice has to be modulated
Okay.
along those lines. Make this look, you said you wanted to teach, but it shouldn't sound as though you're lecturing us. You should sound as though you're in conversation with us.
Okay.
You follow me?
Huh.
That is really basically what it is. Because this is a conversation. This is not a joust. And you're not jousting with us. You're conversing with us. We're asking you certain questions. You're giving your views on the issue. You're not asserting your views. You're giving me your views.
I think you're talking a bit loudly, gives that impression. We're not asking to change your personality or anything, because that won't be you.
Maybe you're trying to emphasize points. When is the interview?
21st February.
Okay.
Well, you're not
just,
really sure.
I will look forward.
Just need
You won't be surprised to see your name, we should say.
yeah.
Thank you.
But your name has to be on top.
Yeah, should be on the first day. I don't know, of course, a lot depends on how you've done the papers, but you're very good.
You handled the questions very well.
I felt like I should not have gone into that political funding topic. I did not.
No, that's okay.
Public management.
Well, you know, I couldn't quite understand, thought there will be bigger problems.
Yeah, well, I was thinking along political issue, but then I said political funding and then
Think about it.
If you go into the political field, then certainly the question of political
Yes.
funding becomes the most. So you can think in terms of avoiding the politics at all.
Yes.
And you can think in terms of education.
So much, health is a problem, education,
Right.
inequality, there's so many other issues. But it's okay, what you said, you tried to back it up, and there's no right or wrong answer. We each have had that.
And on that, I would only suggest that if you're cross-questioned on that, the answer that you can give is that although you agree that every party has the right to raise funds from whatever sources they are, the idea of secretive funding is against the principle of the reform.
But if you can think of a bigger problem, all income matching, that may not be a bad idea.